In this video, I'm going to share 7 productivity hacks that really help me to be more productive, but at the same time also look at productivity in a much more healthy way. I might actually also share a bonus, so make sure to stick around until the end. Hi, my name is Ivana and I live in Bangalore. For the past 6 years, I've had my own business, making YouTube videos, but also doing consulting for corporations. Previous to that, I used to work in the corporate world as a PR/communication consultant for A-list brands in the Netherlands. Also very important to note, I have had an official medical burnout 6 years ago. And actually in the run-up to that burnout and recovering from that, I learned a lot about productivity and how to be productive in a healthy way. These are the 7 hacks that really helped me to be productive, but at the same time also be healthy. The first productivity hack that I learned is to make a to-do list for the whole week. Usually I'm working on projects that cannot be finished in one day. There are a lot of moving parts which I might lose track of if I just make a to-do list on a daily basis. By making a to-do list for the whole week, it's easier for me to oversee a whole project because I will just list all the moving parts, and if I don't manage to finish a couple of parts on one day, I know that I still have a couple of other days in the week to finish the whole project. So it's easier to have a bigger picture if you make a to-do list for the whole week instead of just on a daily basis. The second productivity hack is something that I learned due to my burnout. Prior to having my burnout, I used to plan 100% of my time. Now we all know that things happen, Murphy's Law happens, some things go wrong, some unexpected events come up, and if you plan 100% of your time, it's extremely stressful when things go wrong. Therefore, nowadays, I only plan for 80% of my time. So while making that weekly to-do list, I will actually only list enough items to fill 4 full working days, and I will leave Friday completely open to finish up or to have extra time for any things that I wasn't able to finish in the previous 4 days. I will give you a personal story about this, which actually happened to me last week. I had a video to finish, so I woke up at 6 a.m. in the morning planning to do a lot of work for that video on that day. However, suddenly my laptop decided that it was not accepting anything in its USB ports and I could not connect my external hard drive, which is where my library for my editing software is. I spent 2 hours fixing that problem, Googling everything, looking at YouTube tutorials on how to fix it. It was stressful, yes, but a whole lot less stressful than if I would have planned 100% of my time. I knew that if I needed to, I could move certain other tasks to Friday and take much more time for that video than I initially planned to do. It just works so much more calming when you only plan for 80% of the time and leave 20% contingency time for things that might go wrong or unexpected events. The third productivity hack is something that I've actually already been using since my college days. I used to study law, and every law student knows that we have so much stuff to read. It's absolutely inhumane how much you have to read if you're studying law. One very important thing that I learned about my brain really helped me to get through those heavy study days. It's the knowledge that your brain only has the capacity to fully focus for 60 minutes. After those 60 minutes, the capacity of your brain to absorb information drops drastically. So what I used to do in my college days is to set a timer for exactly 60 minutes. I would always start at 6 a.m. in the morning and I would go on until 8 p.m. in the evening, but I would only work for 1 hour, then I would take a 1 hour break, work for 1 hour, then take a 1 hour break. I can guarantee you that they were all spent very effectively because the times that I was studying, my brain was also fully capable of absorbing the information for those 60 minutes. Now, this study or work schedule is definitely not something that's sustainable. I used to just do it like 1 or 2 days before I had to cram before an exam. However, I do still use this 60 minutes timer method whenever I'm working, just to make sure that when I'm working, my work is really productive. So whenever I start editing, I will set a timer for 1 hour, and after that 1 hour, I know that I need a pee break, I need to get some water. Maybe I will actually take a full hour break, but sometimes that's not necessary. 15-minute break can also do a lot of good. However, I rarely work in one go more than 60 minutes at a time, because I just know that it's not productive at all. Productivity hack number 4 is for those times when you feel really overwhelmed. There's a lot of things going on and maybe you just don't even know where to start. I learned this when I was traveling so much that I actually didn't know how to get all of my editing done in the meantime, because when you're traveling, it's also very hard to sit down and edit your videos. I decided to try this system out and it works really well. So that's why I also wanted to share it with you. It's a system of max 3 to-do items per day. By limiting your to-do list to only 3 items, you are absolutely completely forcing yourself to prioritize the most important things that need to get done on that day. If you want to make it even more effective, you will actually assign a time per item which you think is needed to finish that item. By assigning a time, you can actually also check afterwards if the time that you assigned for that task is actually realistic, or that the next time you need to budget more time for that task. From personal experience, I can tell you that no matter how busy I was, this method really helped me to focus on the things that really needed to get done and completely ignore the things that were just not relevant at that time. And also, having a to-do list of only 3 things is very psychologically manageable. So at the end of the day, when you tick off those 3 things, you will get still that massive sense of accomplishment that you would have gotten with a to-do list of 10 items. But the chances of you finishing 10 items when you're really busy are a lot lower than finishing a to-do list of only 3 items, but you still get the same sense of accomplishment, which is really encouraging to get even more things done, 3 things the next day. Productivity hack number 5 is switching planning from digital to offline. And it's actually something that I only discovered in the past year when I was forced to redesign the way I look at productivity and the way I work with productivity due to COVID and due to all the lockdowns. Initially, I always used to use Google Calendar, and I would have orange time slots assigned in my calendar, which I would turn green whenever I would finish a task. However, what I noticed is that creating the to-do list in the Google Calendar while also constantly working on my laptop just made me ignore it and made me feel overwhelmed. Whereas if I just write to-do items or the whole to-do list for that week on paper, it also actually somehow allows me to process that whole to-do list, to internalize it, and it gives so much more satisfaction to cross out the to-do list on paper than just turning an orange time slot to green. So yeah, if you just like me have trouble keeping up with a digital to-do list, maybe switching back to paper might actually work better for you as well. Productivity hack number 6 is to make it fun. Before this whole pandemic mess happened, I actually developed a habit of going to cafes, having a nice cup of chai and working there with nice background music. Now with this whole pandemic mess happening, obviously that was not possible anymore, and I was forced to rethink on how to make productivity in my home office as fun as possible. So I started thinking, what makes working in a cafe for me super fun? And one of the things that was so important for me was the background music and the background noises, because having a company on my own, I work a lot on my own, which does tend to get really lonely. Sitting in a cafe, hearing people chat in the background made me feel a lot less lonely. I did not necessarily need to interact with other people, but just having them around was really nice. So just recently, one of you guys actually recommended me on Instagram to look into this YouTube channel, which has music playing, but also with cafe background sounds. And it has been completely life-changing for my productivity. It really gives me that feeling of sitting in a cafe. So I will link that YouTube channel down in the description below. Something else that I also really liked in a cafe is having a really nice drink in a nice mug. So I actually last year bought myself a nice mug, and I only drink my tea out of that mug. I think scents are also super important. So I also bought some nice scented candles for my office, and whenever I can, I actually also try to wear clothes which are not only comfortable but also make me feel productive. Oh, another idea that I've been applying for a long time is actually nice stationery. But I think the main point from this productivity hack is to understand that you are human, and if you want to be productive, you also have to be happy. You're not a robot. You can't just keep ticking to-do lists without taking care of the fun part of productivity. Productivity hack number 7 will really help you to prioritize and to focus on the things that will get you the most results, because research has shown that according to the Pareto principle, 80% of your results come from 20% of your work. Now this applies in a much more bigger scale as well. Now the biggest challenge that you will have from learning this is applying it to your to-do list with this filter of the Pareto principle. So when you are prioritizing what you should focus on most, try to look at the items which give you the most results. And usually it will only be 20% of your to-do list which will give you 80% of the results that you want. Speaking from personal experience, for instance, most of my time actually goes into filming and editing videos. However, if I don't focus on the sales part of the organization, I don't have a revenue. So yeah, the next time you're making a to-do list and think everything is important, think about your results and what items on your to-do list give you the biggest results, and focus on doing those items first. Now I promised you a bonus, so here's productivity hack number 8, and it's something that my brother completely shifted my perspective on productivity with. I was struggling with doing my email and doing my finance on a consistent basis so much because, first of all, I absolutely despise doing email and I hate doing my finances, but also because I hate it so much, I would only be doing it once in a while, and then I would get sucked into it and I would be doing my email for 3 hours, I would be doing my finance for 5 hours. That would make me hate it even more, resulting in me postponing it even more, ending up with me doing my email maybe once a year or my finances once every 6 months, which obviously is not very productive. My brother, who is an executive coach for Fortune 500 companies and actually trains their management on these kind of things, was the perfect person to help me out. And what he said completely changed my perspective on this. He said, why don't you do a little bit of email on a daily basis? Like, for instance, 10 minutes. How would that make you feel? Do you think you would be able to do that? And I was like, 10 minutes of email? Yeah, that's one email. Sure, I can do that. And he was like, what would happen if you would do 10 minutes of email on a daily basis? And I was like, I don't know, let's try it out. No joke, within a week of doing 10 minutes of email on a daily basis, my whole inbox was clear. And I asked him, like, what's the magic behind this? And he told me, what you do on a daily basis results in so much more than the things that you do once in a while. Whether you are trying to lose weight, trying to be more productive, trying to, I don't know, make an artwork, what you do on a daily basis will result in so much more in the end than if you only do it once in a while. If you are trying to be productive, if you are struggling with something that you hate so much and it seems just never ending, like for instance my email, try to make it very small. Put a daily timing on it, like I did with 10 minutes. That seems just so ridiculous for you to not do it on that day, and try experimenting with that for a week. See what kind of results you get with that. If you think this video is helpful, consider sharing it with other people and paying it forward, because I think the more we look at productivity from a fun and healthy perspective, the better we will have a relationship with it. Especially as someone who has experienced burnout trying to be as productive as possible, I can tell you that there is a very, very toxic way of being productive, and I've struggled for years to find a much more positive and fun and healthy relationship with productivity. So obviously I want as much people as possible to know about these hacks. Also, if you have any productivity hacks that work really well for you, comment them down below because I love learning from you guys as well. You can also consider subscribing to my channel and joining 1,600 other subscribers. It's free and you will get a notification whenever I post a new video in the future. For now, thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!